Welcome back to the channel. I'm Realtor Nick Bellmore. We're going to spend a little time today reacting to a video. When I saw this title, and I have to admit that I haven't seen any of this video yet, but when I saw this title, I thought this is one that absolutely has to get reviewed. This is a subject we talk a lot on this channel, and this is a Fox Business video from Fox News, and the title is Booming. Trump FHFA Director vows to make housing affordable again. Now, if you watch this channel, you know that that is a subject that I take very seriously. And as we've really looked at this in depth, we've found that ultimately there's a lot of BS going on when it comes to making housing affordable again. I'm assuming that we are going to have a bunch of rock solid, actionable items in this video that's truly going to solve one of the biggest foundational crisis facing the nation, or maybe people are going to talk a bunch of crap and lip service to things that aren't actually going to work. Let's dive in together. Let's find out which of those two are actually true.
The American dream without a house? Well, the New York Times said believe it. This was just a few months ago in an article. And part of the problem has, of course, been these starter homes. Now, there's one estimate that says starter homes are now $293,000. They've gone up 7 years in a row. And the average price, we do know, of a starter home, it tops $1 million in 233 cities. $1 million bucks. That was only 85 cities in 2020. But the question is that starting to change here a little bit? Pending home sales climbed 6.1% in March. Now, here's the thing. Okay,
so at least showcasing the problem seems pretty honest. Yeah, there's a real affordability issue when it comes to starter homes. That being said, I'm not going to isolate this to starter homes. There's an affordability issue across the market. And if we start to look at the fundamental problem right now, the problem is people's incomes is not in alignment with the cost of housing across the nation. And I think if we look at the why behind that, we see tons of appreciation in the past 3 to 4 to 5 years at the rate of often double to triple the local appreciation rate historically. So when housing in West Michigan is going up at the clip of 14% per year, when we're looking at an average of about 5, then you can see how affordability can get out of control. Pair that with a 2.9% interest rate subsidized by the government for several years, especially during COVID, and you can see that's an environment to kind of screw over the consumer in the long run. Now, was it great for those people that bought early? Yeah, no doubt it was. That being said, is it great for the nation? I tell you this, I would hate to be a young 20s person trying to buy a first-time home today. As a matter of fact, everything's stacked against you if that's your situation. And hopefully we're about to get some solutions for that as we go forward with this video.
Wall Street was expecting 1.0%, just 1%, the chart behind me. So that's great news. Unfortunately, the following chart will underscore just how far this number has to go. We are way down there, folks. But my next guest says that with President Trump's leadership, we are making the American dream of home ownership affordable again.
Okay, wait a minute. Did he just say we are making the American dream of home ownership affordable again? Okay, how are we doing that? I guess we're about to find out. As a realtor, as somebody who spends literally every day studying this, I haven't seen anything that we're doing as an administration or as a government that's actually addressing this issue. So maybe we're about to find out about a secret program I don't know about.
Bringing out from the White House, Federal Housing Finance Agency Director and Fannie Mae Chairman Bill Pulte. Hey, Bill, great to see you, my man. You know, these days we'll take any green shoots we get in housing. That pending home sales number was impressive. Is this a start or something?
Well, we've got a long way to go because of what happened the last 4 years. I mean, we've seen tremendous devastation in the housing market, as you know. Inflation was out of control. People couldn't afford homes for the last 4 years. They couldn't afford their rent.
People actually could afford homes for the past 4 years. The reason that they could afford homes is because the government subsidized an interest rate to be into the high 2s and low 3s, and because we didn't have all these bidding wars to artificially start to drive up the cost of those homes. homes. It's actually now that people can't afford to buy homes. Go back 5 years ago, homes were very affordable. And of course, you know, again, are we going to get into facts or this guy's opinion? Let's find out.
President Trump, I believe, is going to get this economy turned around. He's going to get people earning money again. Imagine that. And frankly, I think over the next 4 years, we're going to get the American dream back in this country.
I just want to make sure, because again, this is easy to get a lot of fluff in a report like this. His solution so far proposed is that people are going to make more money at their job, therefore bringing the housing cost into an alignment. Let's find out, because keep in mind, this is the dude who is running Fannie Mae, it seems like, and what does he know about employment and wages? I'm sure there's some amazing solution coming up.
You know, there's been a lot of slings and arrows, a lot of anxiety and frustration with the agency.
Well, over the years, as you know, in 2008, they basically went bankrupt. The federal government got involved, and I oversee Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. But what we're going to do, Charles, is we're going to run these things like businesses. The president hired a businessman to go into these companies, turn them around, run them well.
For the record, these companies making profit has never really been an issue. They've made a ton of profit, billions and billions per quarter. So the idea that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac becoming more profitable is a solution to housing costs seems stupid.
And frankly, if we have good businesses, that means we're going to have a safe housing market. And I'll tell you, I believe that these companies are safer and sounder than ever, and we got a lot of work to do, but we'll get it done.
That actually doesn't mean that, just for the record. It would actually be the average American worker making more money that would be that. It would not be a bunch of rich people being more profitable in their companies, especially companies that are government subsidized and as big as Fannie and Freddie. So at this moment, this guy seems like he's completely full of crap and not actually giving any real solutions, but talking about his hopes for growth in the economy that will equalize out as if as incomes increase, the price of housing isn't going to respond in turn. Kind of seems ignorant, especially for a guy running a multi-billion-dollar organization like Fannie and Freddie. But let's see if there's something new on the horizon.
How do you leverage the number? The reason, how do you leverage it? Because first quarter this year, I'm looking at the financials, $76 billion in liquidity to support the housing market. But in 2021, that was $1.4 trillion with the T. That's a huge disparity.
Well, as you know, over the last 4 years, President Trump had an amazing first term. People could afford to buy a home, but in the last 4 years, it's been devastated. So
what does that have to do with what's happening in the economy today? Kind of seems like nothing. If you go back to some of my old videos, I am very adamant about the fact that there's no presidential candidate that's going to be able to fix what's happening systemically in our housing market. So the fact that this guy is trying to act like there's a secret plan right now, and unless he's about to reveal that plan, which I would love to see happen, again, kind of seems like he's full of crap. But let's find out if he's about to reveal this super amazing plan that's going to bring cost into alignment with supply.
We're reversing it. We're going to fix it. We're going to turn it around. Frankly, Charles, we had 16,000 employees at these companies, and almost 90% of them were working from home. Still, there was nobody in these buildings, Charles. It was crazy. We ordered everybody back to work. People love being back to work.
People, in fact, probably do not love being back to work. Given the choice to work remotely versus come back to the office at a place like Fannie Mae and Freddie, come on. Are we being honest here? Doesn't seem like it is.
And we're going to do it in a safe and sound way, and we're going to get the American dream back.
Hey, Bill, you got a huge following on Twitter. I put out you're coming on the show. I would say overall the number one question was fraudulent FHA loans. Is that something you can talk about?
We are absolutely going to focus on mortgage fraud. Look, there's no room for mortgage fraud. It's crazy. People are saying that they're earning more money than they are, that they live in homes that they don't live in. This stuff has to stop.
Okay, I'm going to have to again take a look at this. Is mortgage fraud the issue in this? Hey, guess what? We're not in 2008 anymore. So I'm going to tell you, people trying to get stated loans and claiming how much they make, that's not a real issue in today's economy. That's been a tiny, tiny chunk. Again, the real issue here is how much money people make versus how much housing and rent would cost today. I'm hearing a lot of crap from Bill here, but it doesn't seem like we're actually addressing that so far as we're 2/3 of the way through this seemingly BS propaganda video from Fox Business. Kind of shame on you, Fox, unless there's some secret reveal about to come up in the next next couple of minutes.
Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, we can't have a 2008 again. And that's not going to happen under President Trump's leadership.
Well, first off, we're in no danger of a 2008 again. Why? Because there's a ton of equity in people's homes from the rapid appreciation. That was never the case in 2008. In 2008, we had a collapse of the insurance system along with evaporating credit where no one wanted to even make loans. Today, the cost of that credit is definitely more expensive, but we're not in a situation where people have oftentimes razor-thin margins in the equity in their home. One of the reasons that we won't be having a 2008, as this genius is stating here, is that people will simply sell their home and extract the equity. What happened in 2008 was there was no equity, which is exactly why people couldn't sell at that time, and foreclosures just started snowballing the inventory at that phase. So yes, it's true, we're in absolutely no danger of that, but it has nothing to do with presidential policy. It's clearly about the equity created in people's homes, and now if they're behind on payments, they want to preserve some of their money saved in equity versus throwing up their hands and say screw it, like a lot of people did in that marketplace. They would have sold their homes in 2008 and walked away with 10 grand if there was equity to have. What did people really do? Well, they squatted in the home. They tried to spend 18 months, 36 months rent-free or payment-free as the foreclosure process was happening. However, if they could have sold their homes and walked away with $12,000, $16,000, $25,000 like many people can today, even after paying 3 to 4 missed payments, well, they would have. They simply couldn't at that time. And the idea that that's even close to the same today is either completely ignorant from a guy who's in charge of some of the biggest mortgage backing companies, or it's a complete lie intentionally told on this show. I'll let you guys kind of decide which one you think it is.
We are going to fix this housing market. We're going to turn around what's devastated the housing market for 4 years. And people should be able to afford a home in this country, and they're going to be able to do it under President Trump.
Okay, I'm going to say the last 4 years, the housing market hasn't been devastated. As a matter of fact, it's been artificially inflated versus devastated. So again, where's this guy's metric? It kind of seems like he's a liar, and he's not actually being genuine in presenting this problem on the show.
Some of this is out of your control, though. You've got the Federal Reserve, you got home builders. Just how much do they have to, play a role in all of this?
Well, they definitely play a role, but remember, President Trump has his arms around the tariffs, he has his arm around taxes, and if there's one person who knows interest rates, which affect mortgage rates, it's President Trump. So I wouldn't bet against the guy, and I think we're going to get this mortgage market booming again and the housing market booming again.
Yeah, cool. You obviously love President Trump. That's fine. What are the actual actions? He knows about interest rates. Therefore, what? Because he doesn't control interest rates at any tiny bit. What about supply? Another thing that he has no control over. So how is our magic faith in a single person going to change the fundamental aspects of the real estate market and why it's failing? Even characterizing the market being destroyed over the last 4 years is just outright stupid. It clearly had record appreciation. That's not a destroyed market. Now, was that appreciation unhealthy because it was driven by these fake rates? Yeah, 100% it was. But let's not sit here and pretend the magic solution is President Trump's knowledge of interest rates. That's dumb.
That means Fannie Mae is going to be booming again. You had $3.7 billion net income in the first quarter.
So becoming more profitable is the solution, yet this dinkus made $3.78 billion in the first quarter. Doesn't seem like profitability for Fannie Mae is an issue based on those numbers. So what the heck is this idiot talking about?
When will this government-sponsored enterprise relationship be severed? When will this go back to private hands? When can shareholders get a piece of the action?
Well, that's a hot debate, as you know. I would say that obviously the conservatorship shouldn't be forever. However, we need to make sure that it's done in a safe and sound manner if and when that were to be happen. Ultimately, that will be up to the president, and the Treasury Secretary and I work very well together on this matter. As you know, Treasury has many rights and privileges as a part of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So if anything were to be done, Charles, it'll be done correctly. But right now we're focused on operational efficiencies and getting these bloated businesses to be actually run as well-run businesses.
$3.78 billion in the first quarter, yet his concern is the business isn't well run, and somehow magically them being more profitable is going to translate to more balance in the housing market and housing affordability. Again, this is so stupid, it's amazing. And the fact that Fox Business is putting this out on their channel, I think it's kind of embarrassing for them at this stage.
Icons, and they'll be American icons once again.
Is it ultimately, though, Bill, something that the administration, that you guys have talked about, that ultimately, when it's right, that they can go out and they can be private again?
I don't think anybody thinks that conservatorship should be forever. However, obviously we don't want there to be any interruption in the mortgage market. We need a safe and sound mortgage market, including making sure that there's not upward pressure on rates, and that's what we're laser focused on.
All right, well, you've been in a short period of time. You're already doing a great job. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you again real soon.
Good to see you, my friend.
Okay, I'm gonna have to give a summary. That's one of the dumbest videos I've ever seen in my life. Quite honestly, it's borderline criminal that they're putting out this stupid information into the public. Basically, there was not one single actionable item outside of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac need to be more profitable in order to help the balance that is completely misaligned in the real estate market today. Not a single thing that this man talked about will actually help housing be more affordable or help us to get the housing market moving in a completely different way. This whole entire thing was a complete load of crap, and this fool sat there basically giving us a bunch of promises connected to zero actions and just the hope of them being more profitable would actually fix the real estate market. Embarrassing. This is one of those ones where I can't even believe that this is considered news, and it's completely propaganda and BS. This is exactly why I make videos, because somebody has to actually combat the stupidity that gets said in mainstream media. And this is the pinnacle of stupidity. There's nothing this man said that is ever going to connect to improving the real estate market. What do we really need? We need more supply. We need more supply of starter homes. How is them being more profitable going to create that? It won't. How is them being more profitable going to bring interest rates and affordability down? It won't. So the real solution in this fool's idea is that Donald Trump knows about interest rates, and therefore interest rates are going to magically get cheaper and bring the cost of housing down, coupling that along with Fannie and Freddie being more profitable than the 3.78 billion that they made in the first quarter. How is that going to translate to better housing costs for the average consumer? It's not. Please don't watch this dumb crap because it's so fake, it just drives me insane. All right, there you have it. That is my review. Embarrassed for Fox Business, embarrassed for this reporter who stood there like a fool, not even challenging this idiot that's clearly in charge of Fannie and Freddie on the crap he spewed out on their channel. If you're looking for a different approach, then check us out. Make sure to like and subscribe. But I can promise you this, as 25-year real estate veteran, nothing this idiot said is going to fix our market. And when he goes home tonight and looks at himself in the mirror, he should just be embarrassed for coming on TV and spewing this stupidity. I'm embarrassed for him at this stage. If I was his parents, I'd be embarrassed too that my son turned out to be a fool spouting this stuff onto national television. That being said, if you are looking for a home that fits your needs and is going to fit with the affordability that makes sense for your family, reach out to me. My contact information is in the description below, and I promise you I'll never lie to you like this idiot did here on this news article. And quite frankly, I'm embarrassed for the whole entire thing. Thank you guys for watching. Again, like and subscribe. That way I can bring more content of stupid people talking about the housing market in the future. Thank you guys. I'll see you on the next video.